All right.
Yeah.
The moment everybody's been waiting for, man. Market Mondays.
Been a tumultuous day.
It's been an amazing day.
Yeah.
A hell of a day, man. So we got a lot to talk about. Obviously, global markets crashing. Donald Trump coming out to many men.
That now this time is real.
Took my advice.
This time is real.
We also got to talk about real estate. We're gonna talk about real estate. We got Matt coming up a little bit. We got to talk about Nvidia. We got to talk about
Bitcoin
drop.
Sure. It's a lot, man. A lot to talk about. So I don't want to waste too much time. First and foremost, thank you to everybody that showed love in Chicago. Great event. Shout out to United Mass. Shout out to Ally.
That was dope.
We have a big episode of Earning Leisure. April Showers. Really dope entrepreneur out of California that comes out tomorrow 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And Blackout. 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
Pull up
on Wednesday, and then make sure you pull up on us in VIP night on August 23rd. Me, myself, and Ian will be interviewing Shannon Sharp.
Two personalities, yo.
Myself and Ian. This is wild. That's why.
Hey.
And we will be interviewing Shannon Sharp for the first ever live Blackout. It's going to be a legendary moment.
Amazing.
Sure. That's going to be an iconic situation. So, all right. Oh, and then later on, we got to do this raffle thing.
Yeah. We got our winner for our VIP upgrade, the all access, all exclusive, the highest pass you could get at InvestFest. Yeah, we're gonna announce our winner.
All right.
Whoa. It's August 5th. I have to. And Ian, I sent you a message earlier.
Yes.
Happy birthday to my mother. This is interesting. Our mothers are a week apart, and we're about a week apart.
Happy birthday. For sure.
Happy birthday to my favorite Leo in the world, man. Mom, I love you. I know you're watching. I told Ian before we started, he's not going to say the things that you asked him not to say. I didn't get to tell Rashad what you asked him not to say.
Big Blue all the way.
We love you, and looking forward to spending a dope night with you tomorrow night. So,
sure. Happy birthday. Happy birthday,
Mom.
Sure.
And happy birthday to Ash.
Yeah, happy birthday, Ashley.
Happy birthday to Ashley.
That's a fact. Sure. Another Leo.
Ian, any announcements?
Yeah, if you want to get rich from the market or want to know how far Nvidia is going to drop, like I told y'all 2 months ago, go to ianinvest.com. Shout out to those of you who listened and made it back this past week. To those of you who didn't, go to ianinvest.com. It is on sale for 2 more days. After InvestFest, Stock Club will be going up to 15 grand per year. I don't want to hear nothing.
Talk spicy to him.
So I told y'all, you don't know and you lost your touch and you were shy, do Blackout. No.
Why do you guys do that?
We gotta do that. All y'all want to talk about is the babies. Market capitulation. Tear y'all ass up right now. So ianinvest.com. I know y'all want a longer promo speech, but if I made you money, please put C in chat. Mi amigo, mi hermano, mi queridos.
Oh, okay. That's the energy we on. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, y'all know how this works, man. This is the disclaimer for all those folks that are watching and everybody that's listening. Shout out to y'all. Our content is intended to be used and must be used for informational purposes only. It's very important to do your own analysis before making an investment based on your own personal circumstances. You should take independent financial advice from a professional in connection with, or independently research and verify any information that you find in our show and which you rely upon, whether for the purpose of making an investment decision or otherwise. This is a message brought to you by the good brothers at Earn Your Leisure and the good brother Ian Dunlap, the master investor himself. Continue to do the research, continue to share the research, and let's make some money.
All right. Yes. So let's get into. I forgot to mention. We posted this yesterday, extended but today is the last day. So pre-sale tickets in today, tomorrow actually. So when you're hearing this, it'll be 24 hours. So 8 o'clock on Tuesday. That is the end of InvestFest pre-sale tickets. If you're
interested. Big show. So
pre-sale tickets, you got 1 day. You got 1 day to get pre-sale tickets.
Man, triple the price.
Or premium, or you'll be paying premium.
No, premium is the word.
Okay. Dow Jones dropped 1,000 points today. Nasdaq fell 6%.
Yep.
Global market rout. Okay, so what factors have contributed to this drastic decline? It started last week and continued this week, and then we'll see how far it goes. But Taiwan, I see they had like their worst day in like 50-something years. So
until China invades.
Chill. We're not putting that energy out there, bro.
What's the catalyst for this?
There are a couple of things. So number one, there's no more free money in Japan. So when the loans were negative, same as we had zero interest rate policies here, they knocked it up a quarter of a basis point. So now the Japanese free yen trade is going away. So write this in chat. There's always a catalyst for why the market goes down. Japanese yen adjusting as a result, and then the banks went down. Number two, there's no more asymmetric reward to the upside, meaning we're at the top of everything: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Nvidia, Microsoft, Apple. So you have to wait for the market to pull back down. And then there's a lot of fear about all of a sudden, shout to your mom, Queen Kamala runs, and maybe they don't want her in. So maybe the recession indicators that didn't matter 2 years ago matter now. I don't think it's suspicious that all of a sudden a black woman, whether Trump wants to say the blacks are right, but all of a sudden every recession indicator that did not matter 2 years ago automatically now qualifies as a positive indication of a global recession. What are the odds?
Very interesting.
Those are the three big factors for why we're falling. Everyone's asking how long. We'll get to the VIX later, but we should slide for maybe another 5 or 6 trading days. By the 16th of August will be good. After InvestFest, we should be in the clear, but we are going to have some trouble for the next 5 or 6 days.
These are why your advisors forewarned you. This is something we're talking about. We said July, August. In fact, shout out to my brother Tweet out in Toronto. We saw him in May, and he was like, when would be a good time for me to enter the market? I'm pretty new at this. I don't know what I'm doing. I said, it's September. And he was like, what?
August, September.
I'm like, well, what are the companies you looking for? And he was like, tech. I'm like, September. And
big facts.
When we kind of told him the reason, and it was because of these things, right? You gave 3 great ones. I think one that was missing was the jobs report.
Yep.
And that's important, right? So when people saw the jobs report come back, it was, I mean, they anticipated 85,000 new jobs. I think the number came in way below. It was like 114. So that didn't help. And then we talked about the importance last week of those tech companies reporting their earnings, right? And so we saw Microsoft, we saw Meta, we saw Apple, not Microsoft, we saw Amazon. And Amazon, it didn't hit, right? The biggest thing that people were talking about were the capital expenditures. Well, if you're trying to innovate and you're trying to keep up in a race, and we'll talk about that race a little bit later in the AI space, you're going to have to spend. And so part of the spending is going to be on the bottom line. Apple did a pretty nice job when it came down to their earnings report, but it didn't meet what people were thinking that would be the catalyst. We started to see a pullback over the last 2 weeks, and it was like, all right, well, will these companies show that growth, right? That CapEx growth, that this is now beneficial. We're spending it, but here's the profit that we're making. We're not there yet. And most companies aren't there yet. And so that hurt. And then, like I said, when you look at all the indicators, it's crazy that the recession word came back up. It is now increased. It was at 15%. The likelihood is now at 25%. Now definitions have changed, so I'm not sure. I saw you post that. I'm not sure what a recession is, but are we on the cusp of one? I don't think so. I think this is a correction. Even if we look at it, right? The Dow was down 1,000 points. When I woke up this morning, it was like 6 a.m. Yeah, I've never seen this. I saw the Nasdaq down over 1,000 points. I was like, oh. Shout
out to everybody in Stock Club. 523 points should be your exit. If I made you money, please put yes in chat. Can we all say this? We have made y'all money if y'all listen. Rashad told you a whole blueprint on how to meet 50 Cent and Steve Harvey and Hove and they had 14 dinners with Nas. how do I network if I want to meet somebody? Like
who's counting?
Tune in to the show. I'm finna talk like El Mayo before he got locked up.
Here's perspective and here's context, right? So the Dow was down 1,000 points, right? For the month, it's down 1%. 1%. Yep. Even with all that, it's down 1% this month. It's up 2.5%, 2.5% year to date. Yeah. S&P is down 7% this month, the last month. It's still up 4.5% for the year. The Nasdaq is down, so they have hit correction, right? Tech companies have been hit hard. They've gone under 10% from the 52-week highs, which is now correction territory, anywhere between 10 to 30%. It's at 12 for the month. It's still up 9% for the year. We talked about
what scared me though.
Go ahead. I'm gonna give you another stat. Look ahead.
For real. No, get us that. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, when we talked about the first half of the year, when we saw the amount of growth that were in those three indexes, we always said, like, hey, there's still going to be growth, right? Out of, I think it was over the past 30 years, right? When all three indexes have had positive growth, there's only been 4 occasions when the second half of the year it didn't. But 17% in the first half and having 9%, that's still growth. But we have to be very aware of it means 9% by the time we get to December.
How many times were there a black candidate running for office when that happened? We're about to be 2 for 2. But what scared me about recession?
This is a new anomaly.
That's a new thing they got to put in the stock market almanac. Is if you got a black president, they're gonna make some tizzy slide right real quick.
Yeah.
When I saw Intel go down 26%, normally I'll come in and be like, "I told y'all," and shout to the dude on YouTube and said I was wrong. But for it to be, let's say, the 7th best chip company in America, when you're looking for a recession, you never look at the top players. You're looking at the middle of the pack and how far things are falling. And then they announced they're going to lay off 15% of the workforce. I immediately got scared. The Nikkei fell 5%. For those you don't know, the Nikkei usually is safer than the bond market. Now, our bond market is in shambles, and when Japan gets to selling our bonds, oh, baby. So we have a bunch of indexes that are falling at the same time, and then Intel, which is a middle of the pack type player, because in the last recession before COVID, when Toys R Us started to go out of business, and then like Dollar Tree was having issues, that's when I got concerned. So Intel falling that much, which historically does not fall that much in a day, scared the shit out of me, to be honest.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't think you'd be scared by that, but that's interesting because we've been talking about the Intel and how it's fallen off so greatly and it hasn't been able to catch up, and we don't see signs of catching up. The layoffs was 15,000 jobs is a lot.
That's a lot, bro.
That's a lot. But yeah, they were hit. Snap was hit. Like, I mean, we're talking about 20% declines in a day.
And to give context, Intel went back to its 2002 price.
Crazy.
Like I wasn't, maybe a 12% drop. Okay, I can brag. Once I saw it get to 20, I said, okay, so if middle T and Russell 2000 and 3000 isn't doing well, if no mid-sized companies are doing incredibly well, Nvidia has a legal monopoly with cap expenditures amongst Meta and Microsoft, and cool. Where's all the other money coming from? And we're at the tail end of an AI revolution. Things can get pretty scary. I don't think it's a coincidence that she got the lead, and all of a sudden, like imagine if we do InvestFest next year and Hov is there. God willing, please make that happen. Then all of a sudden, there's regulation around who can do financial conferences.
Okay.
I'm like, why the rules change? What happened to Motley Fool and Money Show? They're like, no, y'all got Hov? Got a trick for you.
Well, so all right. So the question is that everybody wants to know is two-part. How far will the stock market fall? Right. So they can know when to get in. And then also a lot of companies are down, right? Nvidia is down over 25%. Microsoft is down. Apple is down. TSM is down over 20%.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Out of all of those like major blue chip companies, what's the most attractive right now in this down market that we're in?
I will go Microsoft first, TSM second, Nvidia third.
Really?
I'm here to give truth. If y'all have
go ahead.
Como se dice, I don't care. Y'all should have been. I told you when it was going to fall.
Yeah. And
notice when everybody started copying on CNBC and some of you internet gurus, everyone's like, it's easy analysis. I'm like, why didn't you say it 2 months ago? Like, if a company goes up 11x over a 2 or 3 year period, how many deviations does it have to revert to the mean for the prices to level out? So I think the Nvidia move right now is overvalued. I think TSM may be underpriced. Now, who's going to win in the end? Microsoft, because they have relationships on both sides. They're buying from both cartels, so they'll be fine. But I will put TSM as second. For everybody in Stock Club, do not panic. Our price is our price. If I made you money, please put yes in chat. But normally when move, I'm not looking for the obvious investment. I'm looking for a contrarian investment. And unless China overtakes I don't think it'll happen this year. Maybe next.
Please.
I hope not, because if not, Y2K didn't happen, but Y225 full. If they get TSM,
let's over with 2030 or something like that. Maybe, hopefully never, but at least by that time when we have foundries here on our own soil.
So Microsoft is the most attractive thing that you see right now,
hands down.
I'm going to disagree with you.
Okay,
and I'm going to put Nvidia still at number one.
Okay, why?
Well, a couple of reasons, and Microsoft is part of the reason. We're talking about CapEx, and even when Microsoft reported there was an issue, and Amazon reported, that's when I was like, all right, this is glaring. And Meta as well. But Microsoft, Amazon specifically, which we know is my favorite company. When I was looking at the expenditures, and I'm like, well, they increased spending by 43%. I'm like, wow. Well, where did it go?
Yep.
AI innovation. Who are they spending it with?
Oh, of course, you got to spend it with Hefe.
Right? So you spend it with them. That's Amazon. Well, then you go into Microsoft and same thing. CapEx, we obviously already know there's relationship with OpenAI, which is we got to keep an eye on that relationship because it feels like something tricky is about to happen. But again, AI innovation, who are they spending it with? NVIDIA.
Hey, Sam Altman, if you think you're going to run off of the plug of Microsoft, they'll put you on the plane with Boeing first.
It feels like he's trying to run off with the plane.
You can try. You're going to be on Boeing 828.
Some rumblings. Right? So now you got Amazon, you got Microsoft, and now Meta. Again, they already told you their commitment to it, to the spending. And they've said, look, we're in the beginning stages of this. We're not slowing down for a second, right? And so you got these three major huge mega cap. You're talking about $1 trillion valuations or market caps. If all of them are spending with this person, that person still remains dominant to me. The fact that it's come down under 90, and we kind of hinted at it last week when we was like, what's the number? We hinted at it. Now that it's down at, I think it hit 94 today. I was on a plane pissed. I'm like,
right?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I like it at this number. And so I put them at number one. I have TSM at 3. I'm going to move Apple back in there.
Yeah, of course.
Even with the sell-off from the Oracle of Omaha, I still like Apple.
We got to talk about it.
The service business, when I looked at the earnings, I said, oh my gosh, you're talking about 83 billion. I mean, how many companies even have that valuation, which is ridiculous. But the technology inside of the new 16, from what everybody's saying, and I know this is still in the beta phase, is that this isn't one of those situations where, I'll wait to get the next phone. If you want to have the capabilities, you have to get this phone.
Yeah.
So I'm throwing them in there, and then I'll put TSM.
Really quick, speaking of capabilities, though, you still have Nvidia being number one, even though they put Blackwell on hold?
They didn't put it on hold. So
Cap, what's the kid say?
All right. So this is good. I'm glad you said that. So the
rumblings.
The rumblings are that it's being delayed. They're not going to be shipped out at the same capacity that they said they were going to. It's still going to be shipped out at the end of this year. It won't be at the same level of capacity. And it has to do with TSM, really. TSM does it. They're trying to keep up with the demand and have, because the actual technology that they need to create those chips for Blackwell.
Yeah.
It's super challenging. And so they're trying to keep up with the demand, which now, again, supply chain situation now.
That's the same thing Def Jam said when Ja Rule put out Clap.
Yeah. It's tricky because the slogan was new product every year. And the first year that you announce it, we're having a delay on the first product. So that is a little shaky.
So, okay. For Nvidia, they are facing an antitrust lawsuit. Florida-based hedge fund with $70 billion in assets sent a letter to their clients recently saying mega cap technology stocks were in a bubble, and it was very skeptical that big tech companies would keep buying chip makers' graphics processing units, GPUs, in such high volume. Hedge fund warns that chip stocks may be in a bubble, which have enjoyed huge rally from driven investors fevering over generative AI. So long story short, they're bearish on Nvidia. They said that it was overhyped, bubbled. The demand is going to slow down, and like I said, they have a pending lawsuit from the government, antitrust.
Sounds good.
Gotta go kiss the ring. Listen, you already sold 2 million bricks. The little 92 y'all lost in Blackwell like Hove did back in the day. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. The truth, is there going to be some slowdown? As a person that made this a catalyst stock, yeah. Is it going to fall to the floor? No.
Okay.
No, absolutely not. But is there going to be it's okay? I'll ask you guys: have you ever seen a company have 7x growth every year over year for a 5 or 6 year period? We're like, take the stock and product out of it. We're entering a mathematical anomaly.
Mm-hmm. Well, remember, I don't know if you remember, but remember when I was talking about Ripple, and then I also was saying that, like, when Ripple got to the point where its market cap made the CEO like the 5th richest person in the world, and it really just didn't make sense. And then I was saying, like, I just didn't think that Nvidia was a more, like, when they have market caps and they're bigger than every company in the world, damn near, Google, Amazon. I just don't think that Nvidia is a company that is more valuable than a lot of these companies that they have higher valuations than. It just at a certain point in time.
Such as which one?
Yeah, who would you put in there?
Well, name it.
And then we'll have a conversation about the AI bubble being true and over.
I just don't think that Nvidia is a more important company, like, in the grand scheme of life right now, than what Google has built, what Amazon has built. At one point in time, they was more valuable than Apple. Like, I mean, it's difficult. Like, it's like somebody that just got drafted and they're already in the GOAT conversation after 2 years. But I'm saying LeBron, that's 20 years. So it's like, all right, so now if say Anthony Edwards is better than Michael Jordan, right?
If he won a title in the first 2-3 years, maybe. If he came out the gate and won, okay, this is the truth. Nvidia is powering all the major tech companies. At some point, though, if Blackwell does not come out at the speed that it needs to, somebody could take that lead. That lead could go to TSM. We're in a battle of the net. Like, that was AI 1.0. But that's Microsoft Copilot runs off of everyone remixed their shit.
But it's still contingent, though, right? Like, so it's still contingent on TSM producing. So they need each other
until they don't.
Until Nvidia decides that, but that, I mean,
until they don't.
It's inevitable. Nvidia cannot. Number 3 rule in branding: you cannot be attached to a supplier for a long period of time if you want to be the preeminent leader in the world. Apple went through this, but like, you got to detach and make your own stuff on ground, especially.
So now you're China going to the point now. Now that was the point I was going to. Is like, yes, they will detach, right? And then if they detach, which is going to take 10 years, right, to even get to the technologies, what happens to the revenue if you're not spending with the company that is building your chips? The revenue goes up, the valuation is going to go even higher. If everybody, that's why I said, if it's a slowdown, then go read Meta's earnings report, go read Microsoft's, go read Amazon's, go read Apple's. Where is their capex going? If it's a slowdown, then those companies wouldn't be spending at the levels that they are. And each of those CEOs said that we're not slowing down anytime soon.
Yep. Also, too, y'all know historically I've hated RSI, but if we look at the RSI on the monthly, my real numbers is 95.5. It's the last like big
95.5. Which one are you looking at? What company?
Nvidia.
Where's it at?
They're currently at 69 right now. So if we're going off mathematical averages, they should pull back for 62 to 94 days as a result. Great bond opportunity if it gets there. But we have been oversold. And I do agree with the valuation metric, but we have to have a bigger conversation. In corporate America, enough companies are not producing shit that really matters. That's my issue. So if they are the supplier, the cartel to all the tech monopolies, and only 7 companies can really buy from them, what about the mid-tier companies that are falling apart? That have low profit margin, 3% profit margin. You can't run a company off 3% profit margin.
I'm glad you asked that question.
And no great rate cuts.
So we spoke about data dump, and the answer to that question is the number 2 supplier. So even during this pullback, if you watch AMD over the past 2 weeks, it's been kind of steady. There's actually been up maybe 2 or 3% because of some of that issue. But I agree with you, right? And we kind of went over this a few weeks ago, but we have to get to the point where they're going to have to start seeing the byproduct of the spend. right? Has it increased efficiency? Probably. Has it increased revenue? We don't know.
Well, the only time will tell. Only time will tell. But let's bring our guest up. Let's cut to some real estate for a little bit.
Hey.
How's it going?
Hey, what's good? What's good, y'all?
Matthew Garland. How are you, sir?
You know, Troy, Rashad, Ian, it's always a pleasure, my brothers. How are you today?
Likewise. Glenn Glowing, you looking good?
Yeah, man. Look like you've been out of the state. Definitely.
You know, life has been lifing. You know, summertime vibes. You know how I go.
Yeah,
for sure. So we're gonna talk about more stock stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry, we got Apple and stuff. But before that, we like I said, we want to cut to some real estate because we talked to Don Peoples last week, and that was a high level development conversation. But we haven't spoke about everyday home buying for the average person in a long time. So welcome back, Matthew Garland, friend of the show, somebody that has been on probably more times than anybody when it comes to his appearances on all the shows that we have across the board. And then we have Mosi Gatling. Thank you for joining us, Senior Vice President of Strategic Growth and Expansion at New American Funding. And New American Funding, if you're not familiar, I posted this on Instagram, but they're a mortgage company, and they've committed $20 billion to Black borrowers. And they also are doing an exclusive home buying workshop at InvestFest.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us, Mo. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
For sure. So, all right. So, Matt, I'll start with you. I said we haven't had this conversation in a long time. We've been talking about stocks, and I think it's good timing because they're saying that we're about to enter into a recession. 25% chance, Goldman Sachs, I think, said that there is a chance of a recession. So stock market has crashed relatively. But real estate is still, holding on, right? But that it's a domino effect usually. So are we going to see a real estate correction happen in the residential real estate market over the next 12 months, in your opinion?
No. No, and I think I've said this probably 100 times over the past 2 years. I do not see a crash happening. We have already been in the midst of a correction over the past 18 months since interest rates have gone up. Home prices are not appreciating at 20 to 30% as they were during the pandemic years, but appreciation is still appreciation. And if you look at the year over year numbers, home equity and homes have appreciated. Right now you have about $11.5 trillion in tappable home equity right now in America. And that's a new high right now. There's 32 million mortgage holders who can access at least $100K in equity right now. So the market the housing market has been doing a little bit more than just holding on. I think it's still going strong. Year over year is up over 5% nationwide. And if you look at historically over the past 65 years, homes have appreciated on average about 3.5% to 4%. So even if you look at year over year, where home appreciation is still doing better than what is averaged over the last, 65 years. So real estate is one of those things. It goes with the market, as ebbs and flows to it. But as long as you buy right, you're going to put yourself in a good position to win.
All right, so the win has to be built in. Mo, I'm going to come to you because, Matt, that's a pretty interesting statistic that 32 million people can actually apply for a mortgage of that amount. But Mo, as you're originating mortgages, how big or what's the delineation between saying, all right, we're going to wait for mortgage rates to come down or we're going to act now, right? At 7.5% for a 30-year fix. I mean, yes, perspective is key. That's high for this generation. For other generations, it's not. But as we see the market is pulling back, interest rate cuts are sounding like they're going to be coming. How do you prepare people to say, yes, we're going to pull the trigger here and maybe refinance later, or we grab here because it could go higher? We don't really understand. We don't really know where the market's going.
My philosophy on this is more or less stay ready so you don't have to get ready. It's always those, when you're an investor, if it already happened, it's too late. I think Ian said that, right? You have to prepare and see this coming. So right now, applications, as far as I'm seeing personally, they're already increasing because people are hearing the word on the street that because of the market performing negatively, it is causing interest rates to go down. So those people that have been sitting on the sidelines are now effectively jumping in. But because of that, this is what we had going on in the pandemic. When people jump in because the rates are low, we do have supply issues. So how many people are actually going to be able to take advantage of this little blip in the rates, whether it be permanent or not? Because everybody needs some type of housing over their head. But I feel like the past couple of years, while rates have been high, it's been used as more of a reason to not get into the market. So application volumes are up. I think that, week over week, application volumes are reported through Wednesday. So next Thursday, we'll hear about the last 7 days. I think we're going to see those applications going up and people realizing, ooh, I might have already missed the boat because they're down a little bit and pulling the trigger on those homes they otherwise wouldn't have prior to the last couple of days.
Yeah, let me add to that real quick, Mo. Right now, the mortgage market rate for conventional mortgage ended today at 6.375%. That's if you buy a primary residence, single family home, 760, 780 plus credit scores, right? But once we start seeing these Fed rate cuts, which we all believe is going to start happening in September, even though the Fed's lowering the Fed funds doesn't directly impact mortgage rates, I firmly believe we're going to start seeing more traction of interest rates going down as well. So once we start seeing rates in that 5 range, there's going to be a whole slew of buyers that's going to hit the market. Even with the looming recession coming, you're still going to have a slew of buyers that's on the sidelines right now that can afford to buy, but they've just been waiting for a moment like this. So for those of you who have been trying to kind of like time the market and play like double dutch, you got 1 foot in, 1 foot out type shit, like it's about to be over for you, because I personally believe home prices are going to skyrocket at that point once all these buyers are in the market. Me personally.
Supply and demand. You're absolutely right. I agree with you.
The demand is still there, right?
Yeah.
It's still there, even with rates 7-8%. Now, once we start seeing 5.5%, low 5s on a 30-year mortgage, forget about it.
Priced out. Yeah.
People going to get priced out. Like, look at the tappable equity, right? Look how many people have equity right now. So you're going to see more inventory. Right now, inventory is at 4.1 months, right? That's still technically a seller's market. Anything above 6 months of inventory is a buyer's market, right? So you're going to see some inventory of people who got all this equity. Now they have an opportunity now to trade up or downsize because the rates are more favorable. It's not 8%. It's, it's 5%. So they're going to put that on the market, but it's still going to be over for a lot of people. They're going to get priced out, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Matt, for you, for the person who may be watching and they're afraid, what advice do you have for them? And then is there anything that you've adjusted in your home buyer's blueprint to give them a little bit of confidence that it's okay to buy now or over the next year?
So the more you learn, the more you earn, right? The more you learn, the more you earn. And when I speak to people about buying real estate, they're more fearful because they don't know nothing, or they have lack of knowledge in a couple particular areas. So whoever has fear, you got to really do a deep dive in yourself and say, why am I scared to buy property? Why am I scared to invest? And kind of work your way back from there. But I find if the more you putting into your education about home buying, about credit, about if you want to do rehabs, if you want to do new construction, whatever it is, the more knowledge you have, the easier it's going to be for you. It's not going to be a bed of roses or something like that, right? But it'll be a little bit more easier for you, but also managing your expectations and try to take your emotions out of this. I think Rashad had a famous quote. He told me once, he is no emotions in anything, basically, right? I'm paraphrasing. He said something different. I can't remember word for word, but basically you got to take your emotions out of the real estate game or anything investing, right? You got to look at, even if you're buying your first home, looking at this as an investment for you in the future and buying the property as if you're an investor and making sure you're buying right. So as long as you do that, then you shouldn't have fear.
So Mo, and then Matt, you can chime in on this if you can as well. Home refinancing, right? Can you let's give an overview of refinancing, and for the person that might be thinking about refinancing, they might have heard it on television, but they're kind of a little nervous. What advice could we give somebody that's out there that might have a home and is considering taking the refinance route?
I've actually been having a lot of people want to refinance because of that record equity, even before the rates started going down a little bit. I think it really takes you to analyze what's good for you. If you have a 2.75 rate, we got to figure out, why do you want to refinance? Like if Matt said it's owner occupied and what have you, and the rate is just over 6%, you're going to take your current balance up a notch to the current rate. So what does that actually look like? What are your reasons for refinancing? What will you benefit from? And does it financially make sense? I think that's probably the biggest assessment we're making. We're doing assessments for people to see what makes sense. Does it make sense to take the equity out with the HELOC, or does it really make sense to do that refi? And making sure that they don't make a decision that isn't good for that long game.
So the HELOC, home equity line of credit, for people that aren't familiar, that is okay. So you buy a home and you buy a home for $300,000, right? And then 5 years that home is worth $600,000. So you effectively have $300,000 of profit inside the home baked in, right? But you can't do anything with that unless you tap into it. So if you refinance it, right, you effectively get a new mortgage in a sense. You're at either a higher or a lower interest rate, depending on where the interest rates are, but you can take out that $300,000 and use it for whatever you want, right? And then, but if you get a HELOC, then that's just a line of credit where if you need to take $50,000, you have $300,000 available, or like $250,000, because I don't think they give you 100%, right? And you can use up to, like, let's say $250,000 as you choose, but if you don't need to use it, or if you don't need to use the whole thing, then you it's like a line of credit that you can use at any point in time, right?
Correct.
But does your interest rate change with the HELOC also?
Not the rate on the mortgage you already have. So that's why I said it's more of an analysis, because if I'll give you an example, my interest rate on my mortgage is 3%. I did take out a HELOC right after I did my refinance for $200,000 because I wanted to have my equity on tap when I needed it. So it's sitting there. I haven't used that HELOC yet, but I can use it as I need. But I'm going to keep that 3% interest rate. If rates, or when rates renormalize, it might make sense if I use that money to add them together and refinance for me personally. But because of where my balance is at, it doesn't make sense for me to refinance at a higher rate right now, because I don't have anything to pay off as far as debts and things like that. Sometimes if you're refinancing and you're going to consolidate long-term smart debts, maybe increasing your rate works. But we analyze that to make sure we're not just refinancing for sport, is what I like to call it. Like, what are we doing this for? You know? So tapping that equity, if that's what you want to do home improvements, looking at it both ways is probably smart from a mathematical standpoint. I've looked at some people and I could end up increasing their payments by $1,300 a month just to get them $15,000, $20,000. That wouldn't be a smart refinance. So I give them alternative options to maybe accomplish what they want to accomplish.
Yeah, so I'll add on to the HELOC conversation is anytime you're doing a home equity line of credit, understand it's a second lien, and you have to be very careful with, HELOCs in general, right? Remember, this is the church's money. This is your house money. So if you're taking out money and you're going to use it, make sure you have a plan. Either you invest into a business, more real estate, stocks, options, whatever. But understand the risk that comes with any type of investment if you're using a HELOC. It's not guaranteed, especially if you're doing real estate. Tenants are not guaranteed to pay you. But I love HELOCs, and the amount of equity, tappable equity that's out there right now is absolutely, it's insane. It's record breaking right now. So I would advise anybody right now, just look into, like Mo said, tap into the equity. Even if you don't use it right now, you can have it sit on the sideline. Because right now you can't go to your mailbox and put your ATM card and get equity out of your home. You have to apply for it. And the banks have to be willing to doing it, right? They have to have an appetite for HELOCs. Right now in the current market that we're in, banks, lenders have an appetite for HELOCs. So everyone who has home and has equity and you can qualify for a HELOC, you should look into taking out a HELOC. Just proceed with caution. Make sure you know exactly what you're doing, because if the market does go the wrong direction, if the banks start seeing there is a recession, they might start cutting back on some of these products. This happens all the time in the industry where guidelines change. So just because a product is available today at scale, it might not be available when you really need it. So the best thing you could do is tap into that equity so you can reinvest and make more money, in my opinion. But everybody.
You bring up a good point. So I'm going to open this up for both of you and Mo. Those products, like you said, may not exist in the next 5 to 10 years. They could disappear. We already talked about early on the show about the jobless rate and inflation, and we talked about wages. Mm-hmm. And so over the past 5 years, we've seen an increase in home ownership in our community, right? I think in 2019, we were at 40.9%, 21, 44%, 2022, 44.1, and 2023, 45.9, which is encouraging. It's a far cry from some of our counterparts in other communities, but it is encouraging. Mm-hmm. I want to know, based on the way that the economy is looking now, obviously inflation rates are high. How do we continue on that trajectory from an NAF standpoint, Mo, and Matt, from some of the services you provide? How do we keep this momentum? Because we know in order to have wealth, one of the largest key components to having wealth is home ownership and having that inside of the portfolio. So how do we keep this momentum going?
Go ahead, Mo.
I think that encouraging our people to definitely try to get into real estate. You got to pay somebody. I watch you all show, so I hear you talk about it all the time. Get into the market. If you're not in the market, you're renting from somebody and somebody else is taking those advantages. That, and also I would say to not be afraid about getting started. Some people won't get started because they're not sure if they have everything together. There is a way to kind of look at this with a mortgage professional, tap in, be able to really finesse everything so it's an easier process when you're ready. It's never too early to start. I say that because even if you're in a lease right now and you're not out of it for 6 months or 12 months, if you don't know how to move in the mortgage process, that's the only time it gives you heartburn. And I think a lot of people have that attitude that maybe when they tried to do it before, they felt like they got drugged, right? They needed to be out of their place in 2 months. They never got started to figure out what it would look like. What paperwork would they need? Do they even keep the paperwork? Are they getting money from their LLC or their business and then putting it in their personal accounts? Is the order of everything correct? I think that getting started in some capacity to have that path to ownership and make it a little bit easier would be important, because I'll see people just simply give up because they started the process a month before they had to be out. And not even LeBron got into the league on a Tuesday and said by Saturday he needed a championship. So I feel that preparedness is going to be everything. Like Matt said, having that know-how, that education, it's part of that altogether. And then also when people are applying, I would love to see, I'm going to talk about that stat that you just gave. We're moving in the right direction, but the statistics that feed into that number when people do their mortgage application and answer the questions about race on the mortgage application, our numbers are going up, but the numbers of people that aren't answering are going up.
Yeah.
3 years ago, the number of people saying, I wish not to answer, was about 12%. For 2023, it's at 20%. I need those statistics to be right. The only way banks and institutions are held accountable, people think, and I've had people tell me this literally in the last month, that if they check that they're Black, they feel that they might be getting discriminated against, when really there's penalties for companies that have those Black applications declined at a higher rate, because it will evidence there's something wrong in their process. And they're not held accountable if they don't say that information. So yes, Black home ownership is higher, but I'm the skeptic on the inside, because I know that, 12 to 20%, that's 8%. Black home ownership has increased 8% in 5 decades. How are we increasing on the, I'm not going to tell you if I'm Black or not, 8% in 3 years? So I feel like there's something in that system that we need to keep flowing here so we know what's really going on too.
For both of you, can you give us an analytical process of how to look into buying a home? So for the person who, like Matt, like you said, you don't want to buy off of emotion, but for those who have that fear, which we know they will have, is there like a checklist that you could give them for what they need to check off in order to be able to buy their first home?
So I tell people the 3 C's, right? Credit, capacity, and capital. Those are the 3 most important things that I feel like you need to have when you're going into any real estate transaction, whether it's a primary residence or you're buying an investment property, right? You need credit. You got to make sure that your credit scores are high. I mean, you don't need to have 800 credit scores to go out here and buy a house. Most programs out there start at a 620 credit score minimum, but you have programs like FHA, NACA, where you can go a little bit lower, like 580. So you want to make sure that your credit score is above, because the higher credit score, obviously you're going to get a better interest rate with it. But even if you have a 660 credit score and you have capital and the capacity, you should still go out here and try to buy. But those are the 3 major things that I tell people, Ian, is if you have the credit, you have the capacity meaning your knowledge, you understand what you're doing, you know what you're getting yourself into, because you have to be responsible when it comes to buying any type of real estate, because it's easy for the bank to approve you, but can you really afford it, right? You have to be able to maintain that house for a very long time. So you have the capacity for that. And obviously the capital, you need money. You need money for down payment. You need money for closing costs. You need money for reserves, for CapEx expenses. Yeah. So you need to make sure that you have money saved. You don't want to be house rich and cash poor. So as long as you have those 3 C's and all those fundamentals together, then yeah, you should not have any fear of anything. I tell people also, Ian, if you have faith, you shouldn't have fear. Just go for it.
Yeah. Mo, what about you? Is there an analytical breakdown that you have for everyone watching?
I know that wasn't really analytical, but that's just like the MG analytics. You know what I'm saying? It works.
I do agree with Matt. Those are the 3 things you really need. But in all cases, if you're not sure what that looks like, definitely talk to somebody. Find that trusted person that you can kind of download the information into, and they'll point you in the direction of what capacity you need for your specific scenario.
Mentorship, very important.
Yeah, that confusion over will it happen, will it not, and then doing nothing, that's what's not acceptable for our community. And we want to move them in a direction to get rid of that fear and just figure it out. Figure out how you need to move and what that looks like. And someone will definitely take the time to tell you. That way you can be successful moving forward. Even if it's not right now, it could be next year, but if you don't know how to move, how are you going to get started? You got to go.
Right.
Well, we want to thank you guys. Before you leave, Mo and Matt, Mo, can you talk about the home buying workshop that's going to be at Investors? I know there's going to be thousands of people there, and I'm assuming a lot of people might not even be homeowners, right? So I know you guys are having a home buying workshop. And then Matt, I believe you're going to be speaking towards the real estate investing side. So can each of you guys kind of explain that in a little detail?
Yeah, I get to come to InvestFest, which is amazing. I felt like it was really the place to be if you wanted to connect with consumers or anybody in the right mindset or the same mindset you are when it comes to your goals for investing or ownership. We'll be on the stage. We'll really be talking about that process that you just brought up. Like, how do you get started? What does it take? Who can you talk to? And not really to get qualified, but starting an assessment for your home buying, whether it be for primary residence or an investment, and getting that broke down so you know which path to be on and get started. And then you can tap into some resources. And then after the event, we'll have some online resources for everybody too.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this home buying workshop. It's going to be a great time, man. So definitely, if you come into InvestFest, make sure you guys definitely check that out. But I think on Saturday, we're going to talk about real estate investing. I'm going to bring I got a special guest that's going to come on stage with me. And we're just going to break down real estate investing, the current market of where we are and what are the opportunities out there, right? That's very important to be able to show people like where to find deals, how to find these deals, and most importantly, how to get them funded. So during my segment, I'm going to go into that. Then we're also going to bring up probably the tax play of real estate investing as well. So it's going to be very informative. Like this year for InvestFest, the theme is going to be a lot of education, right? There's going to be motivation and inspiration at InvestFest, but it's going to be a lot of education, a lot of presentations, not just from the real estate side, but, the entire 2 days. So make sure you guys go to investfest.com, get your tickets ASAP. It's going to be one of those ones. I promise you, it's something that you're not going to miss. You're not going to want to miss.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys so much.
So real quick before we go, I want to say shout out to all of our partners over that's sponsoring InvestFest this year. Shout out to all of you. Big shout out to NAF for coming in. And I'm excited to learn about that $20 billion program that you guys have for Black borrowers. So that's going to be very exciting. But shout out to all the partners of InvestFest 2024 this year. We love y'all and we appreciate y'all.
And shout out to y'all looking wealthy as hell.
We deserve to be rich, Ian.
Right?
We deserve to be wealthy. We deserve to be happy. There you have it.
Absolutely.
All right, y'all. We appreciate y'all. Thank
Appreciate y'all, man.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Home buying process, very important. And remember pre-sale tickets in today for InvestFest if you want a pre-sale ticket. So, okay.
20 billion. That's a
That's the
lot.
price, yo.
So let's get back to the stocks. Warren Buffett made news a few days ago when he sold a lot of his Apple position. And Apple's a company that has been struggling. Well, I mean, its stock is relative, but they've had some issues this year with lawsuits in Europe and America, and
Re-rocking the same phone for 17 years.
so now that Warren has kind of started to abandon the ship, does this mean that 2Tech2 Index needs to kick Apple out?
Oh.
No, not yet. But what I will say, number one, you have to factor in the price at which he got into Apple. So if you know that, please put in chat.
Mhm.
You're my favorite investor of the year. So the return has been incredible. Maybe time to exit. With the death of Charlie, that was Charlie's idea,
Mhm.
not Warren's. So that's another reason he kind of got that off the table. Now, him selling half of the position, do I agree with it? 1,000%. And here's why. This is called fundamental analysis. So the weaknesses in Apple is even though they've spent the most on AI startups, they have not had much innovation in the last 5 years. To everybody at HQ, I love you still. Shout out to Tim Cook, Lauren Jobs, Steve Jobs. Cool. But can you tell me 5 things that you've seen out of Apple the last 5 years that you absolutely love?
5?
And if it takes that long to give 5 reasons why something is great, it ain't there. Do I think innovation will come in the next 2 or 3 years? But I've been saying they need to go back and get Johnny Ive and bring him back into the consultant fold. You need another product. The AirPods have done well. Great. There was an acquisition from Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine. You missed out on OpenAI. You missed out on the crypto wallet. The car thing was a fucking fiasco. Shout out to Lupe. You need another sector, and now you're taking too long to move into healthcare, and the regulations may be tighter in 4 or 5 years to do so, depending on who is in office. So if I was Buffett and I had 120-something billion sitting in Apple and I don't see any prospects of it going up higher, nothing wrong with taking profit. Hell of a trade, though. They should have been in it 5 years earlier, but this is really Charlie's brainchild. And that's
Well, when you say you don't see any prospects of it going higher, then that would mean that it has limited upside, right?
It doesn't have the same growth rate that it does over the last maybe 6 years, but also profit margin still 25% and still one of the top 3 market cap companies of all time.
Yeah, I was gonna say the profit margins are still high.
Yep, 25.3%.
It's interesting, the timing of it. I think a month ago we were talking about him shaving 13%, which was a large chunk, and then we hear that he shaved off half in this quarter. I'm assuming he did it around when Apple hit its 52-week high of 234, which makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
But when the news came out early Saturday morning, I text that in the chat. And the next thing I said is, he knows something.
He knows
Right.
And he's convinced the whole world he doesn't know how to trade. If you look at the exits when he holds on the shit for 5 to 10 years, it's usually like $4 or $5 from the all-time high.
Yeah, we need to get him and Nancy Pelosi in a chat and see what we can do. But yeah, I mean, half is a lot, but what does that mean in terms of cash? That means 227 billion.
Most all time. And a bunch of treasury bills.
Just sitting on the sideline. And so if you see a market pullback like we've seen obviously today, and if that continues over the rest of this quarter, there's going to be plenty of opportunities for him to buy into new positions. In fact, he might go back and buy some more Apple positions. We don't know. He's still a large shareholder of the company. Well, Berkshire Hathaway is a large shareholder of the company. And so the timing of it seems like when he makes these moves, you see the trickle effect. It was no coincidence when he went to Taiwan to talk. We saw the trickle effect happen with Taiwan Semiconductor. I don't know. You said abandon, which is a strong word. I don't know if he abandons it. Like you said, there's still, yeah.
No, he'll slowly trim, and
he's trimmed. He's trimmed.
Yeah, if I was him, I will push Intel down to 7 and buy the whole fucking company.
Just buy it outright.
I can't get Taiwan. They ran up Nvidia. He's a tech laggard, but entries are innovative. I will find a way to push that shit. And what better face in a global route to pick up Intel than Warren Buffett?
Or we should just watch where his focus have been over the past 6 months. What industries, what sectors? We spoke about a few of them. Like where have the sectors that I know they talk about rotations all the time, and it's like tech rotate. Yeah, okay. But where has his focus gone? Where has the money moved? Right? Like we always tell people, follow the money. It leaves traces. Where has the money gone? Where has his focus gone? We talked about oil plenty of times on here, but that would be interesting to watch over the next few months with that cash pile of 27 billion is just ridiculous. Where is that going? Like where the remnants of it?
Okay.
I want to be on record. If it goes to $9, that he gonna put an offer in.
For what? Intel?
The company's ran to shit right now.
Well, the government
the hottest sector in the last 10 years, and you're the laggard in the space.
Yeah.
Government contracts gonna keep it around.
Okay, Bitcoin dipped under 50,000 today briefly, came back, rebounded, but it's still down tremendously from its high of 73,000, $20,000 lower than that, but still above the 52-week low of 24,000. So what's the deal with Bitcoin?
It's going down with everything else, and I kept telling you, Larry Fink is the Hefe of the Bitcoin and crypto market space. So it'll move when BlackRock wants to move. If you got it at 49,000 some change, you did great. If you can get it back at 52, buy and go to the beach. Same thing I did. Go hit the jet ski. If you believe in the assets long term, just hold on to it. But the truth is, the entire economic system needs to be readjusted. And I said on a Stock Club call yesterday, if 0.25% interest rate change is what's going to be the band-aid to save the market, we're before we even get started. If a quarter basis point is the thing that's like keeping everything glued together, we have to have a reset anyway. So Bitcoin is just being drugged down as a result, like the Nikkei, write this in chat. They're all tied together. There are no assets that matter on earth that hedge funds are not going to touch and have their hands in. So Bitcoin got so big, and Shadi, to your point, to XRP, at some point, I hope it takes off. But the fact that Larry and BlackRock have not put their hands in to dominate that while the Gensler stuff is going on is very telling. They pick the ones that are going to win. Ethereum, same thing. So we're having a global pullback because something is coming, and I think Warren having 277 billion on cash is telling to the public that he knows he just can't announce what is coming over the next year.
So something is coming. Is a recession coming?
I've been saying this the last 2 years, yes. Even when it was on Breakfast Club, I predicted 24 to 25, we would get into recession.
So all right. So the recession is coming this year, next year.
I think if Queen Kamala gets in, you can damn near guarantee February we're in recession.
We're in a recession. What about the idea of the soft landing? Because it's felt up until this point, up until mid-July, I mean, the Nasdaq was at an all-time high. S&P all-time high, Dow all-time high. I think July 10th it hit that mark. Valuations through the roof, multiples through the roof. That has pulled back now. Is the theory of soft landing? Are you still opposed to it?
We want truth to truth.
Truth?
Soft landing was some bullshit from the very beginning. That's another phrase for market manipulation. So if you got in and you priced it in, great. Okay, I'll ask both of you. Take me out of the equation. If you never met me, off the top of your head, if your entire life savings had to go into 4 companies, what 4 would you pick? The fact that it takes that long
I got them.
Fucking troubling. Go ahead.
I mean, it's 4, but it's probably obvious 4. Like
Apple, Microsoft.
I'll take Nvidia and Amazon.
Now, Rashad, as an advisor, if I told you 8 years ago nobody said bonds, you would say I was a scam artist, right? A fucking bond market collapsed and the yen collapsed, and everyone's like, no, it's fine. The AI, generative AI, is going to bring the market. What? Oh, okay. I knew what everybody thought. I was crazy for 107. I'm like, man, if I tell you why this shit can really go and how much of the rest of the market has support, it's scary. I think a lot of black people are already in recession anyway. A lot of mid-sized businesses are in like recession anyway.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. How would this really affect? Because I mean, the consumer sentiment is already recession. So a recession, how bad would it get if technically people are already in a recession?
I mean, I think if they unleash the truth and tell how, even with the jobs report, I'm like, I don't think that's the real, because if we take the government jobs out of it, how many jobs are we net positive? That's what I want to see. Now, that's the part that's really tough. Now, if you take out the jobs that pay $25 per hour and less and government jobs, like what is the net? If you look at Silicon Valley, they've been on a freeze. We all know people at Meta, like they weren't hiring like how they were 2 years ago. And they were slashing fucking jobs like crazy 2 years. Like, this is real. And I'm not trying to be doom and gloom, but as an investor, you have to be honest. Like, California is in a complete state is in decline. Got border issues. Chicago, trouble. Like, even when I was there, was Anna visiting family. I'm like, some landmarks that were incredibly popular 5 years ago are not there or thriving.
But I mean, they've tried their best. If anything, they've tried their best to make this as soft as possible. Pause. When you think about, and this is the unfortunate part of interest rates, right? Like, people are going to lose jobs, right? We have to have people lose jobs in order to bring that rate down.
Were they overhired at the beginning of the pandemic? Because interest rates were at zero.
Right. So the non-farm jobs have come down, right? Yep. That would be a positive sign. Right. Inflation has come down. So like these things, whether they've been manufactured or not, we'd have to be an expert economist to actually follow those numbers like stringently. But isn't that like, this is part of the hardship that comes with if we want a 0.5% or 0.25% in September? Like, these things have to happen. I feel like this is the natural course if we want rates to come down. No?
Yeah, very true. But also, when they hire at the rate of 3x because the interest rate was zero, when does venture capital and angel investors get the blame for causing this mass introduction of all these jobs that were not needed?
Okay.
Private equity is going through a whole shit show that no one wants to talk about, and it's KKR. Shout out to KKR. I love y'all. We got to tell the truth. They overhired. And if the entire American economy is tied to generative AI that can make a dog's ear bigger, we are fucked. Rashadi, what 3 companies right now, if your entire life savings and brain was on the line, would you put your money into? Microsoft's an investor. God will play 2 more. What's up? We are talking today.
Choose wisely.
But out of that, notice all the companies we're not mentioning.
We gave 30 the other day.
Oh, I do want to say, I'm glad you said that, Ian, because I want to get your perspective.
Oh, you got to give us 2.
Well, I think it was rhetorical. I think it was a rhetorical question.
Oh, I thought you was.
No, it's not. It was literal.
No, it was literal. You said you can't take Microsoft. Give us 2.
I gave you Microsoft already. What's up?
You got 2?
I mean, of course, you're gonna go Microsoft. That's the number 1 draft pick.
Okay.
Safety. Microsoft is our bond market. Rashad, if I told you in 2009 Microsoft would be our bond market, you would say I was crazy, right? No single equity should be the most stable thing in our market.
That's fair.
Even with y'all cutting the DEI program, y'all said, what?
Okay. That's not fair.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. I was going to ask you this. I'm going to get back to my 3, but
2. You only got 2 left.
People have. All right. So let's talk about Microsoft for a minute, right? Because so when Mike Novogratz, when we interviewed him before last year's Invest Fest, and he was saying that all the smart guys were telling him Microsoft and Nvidia. Those are the companies to invest in. And then we asked him, was it an AI boom? He said it's coming, but it's not here yet. That was last summer. And then so Microsoft has been not as talked about as Nvidia, but obviously they own half of OpenAI. What's that? They're the second biggest company in the world right now. Microsoft?
As far as valuation,
yeah,
I think so.
Something like that. We talked about Microsoft forever. They cut their DEI program, right, and that caused a lot of controversy. And then they are bringing AI experts to InvestFest, and they are participating in the Nipsey Hussle business grant competition. So I read comments. So most of the comments was like,
let them land it, Ian.
Most of the comments was like, yo, that's dope. They know Microsoft is coming to it. But, there's always some negative comments. So I'm open to having an open dialogue. So some people was like, well, that's interesting timing. They end the DEI program and and don't sell out, whatever. So
what?
How you feel about Microsoft being at InvestFest since you've talked about Microsoft a lot?
I think it's a great partnership, and I'm not just saying it because I've been a fan of Microsoft. And the truth is, even behind I'll say it and keep it zoomed in on me. These are comments reflective of Ian J. Dunlap and Red Panda only, not Troy Rashad, Mike, Earn Your Leisure, and any of the derivative assets that have been created by Earn Your Leisure. Microsoft was told that if you don't cut the DEI program, you won't be able to keep that lead. That's what I was told by somebody who works in Microsoft. So for those who don't know, anytime that there is a innovative way for a banking product to be able to make 7 to 10x, we're not going to be included on it on the first round. But shout out to Microsoft for having people that are in AI to teach us about it. This is why it's really important. And for everybody who say don't sell out, be more loyal then. That's what I'm gonna say. Y'all talk all that bullshit, and then Lord forbid if anybody going to CNBC and say what I'll say, it's holy grail. None of y'all was talking about Nvidia prior to me. Cool. And if so, I got 25,000 if you find one person who mentioned this shit 6 years ago who was black. The blacks. We're gonna get to Trump. But I think it's a great partnership. It's needed. But how corporate works, there's a governing body over corporate, and then if you don't go with nobody's bigger than the program.
Nobody's bigger than the program.
I mean, I didn't even know that was happening.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I mean, I feel like I can understand some sentiment, but I just feel like, once again, as Matt said, I told Matt, like, you just got to take emotion out of it. It's just business. I feel like if you have the most powerful company in the world, arguably in the history of the world, and they are, providing some of their top AI experts to come educate people,
got a hedge.
You'd be a fool to turn that down, right? That doesn't even make any sense. So, and
the partnership was announced before they cut the DEI.
Right.
That's the part that I think is
it's been worked on way before they cut
months
the DEI program.
Yeah.
But then also it's like, one of these things where it says a lot about the times that we're in as far as DEI. And how do you combat this? Like,
boycott. But we won't do that. We talked about that.
Or support goes longer than boycott. Right? That's my lifelong philosophy. Support goes further than any other thing. And I actually had a high level conversation with 19 Keys. Check that out. It's 7.5 hours.
I saw the clip.
The editing is immaculate.
When I get back on the beach, I gotta download this one. Come on. Okay.
But we got that's extremely important, right? Like as far as support. But sometimes, like when we talk to Dapper Dan, because his thing was like Gucci, right? Where he was the creative director at Gucci. And that was right after Gucci did the whole blackface thing and all that. So he was like, yo, we saying we gonna boycott Gucci, He was like, we don't even really make up less than 10% of Gucci's total buying, right? He was like, his philosophy was, paraphrasing, we need to be inside the building, learn from what they're doing, right? And then use those resources for our own. He was like, I've been in fashion for 80 years. We don't have enough infrastructure, enough knowledge. Kanye wasn't wrong in what he said. He just went about it. The way he said it was a little bit brash, right? But he's like, we don't have the infrastructure or the knowledge or the relationships. The only way to really do that is to take it from the inside and then take it out. So I just think a lot of times people you can't just lead with emotion. Kamikazes only get killed. You have to be strategic when you're fighting a war and know how to go about things intelligently and learn from people that have resources and expertise that you don't have. But you have to be humble enough to realize that sometimes in life, some people have more resources than you, and they have more knowledge and they have more expertise than you. You can either learn from that or you can ignore it, but the information is not going to go away.
Well, I'm gonna say this, Ian. Let me just say this really quickly because I didn't even know that was happening. But like you said, like the relationship that it took to even have the conversation about Microsoft being there is you're talking about 6 months plus to even get to the conversation. Obviously, the DEI thing happened over the past couple of weeks, but that can't be taken for granted, right? Like when we're talking about building relationships, it doesn't just happen. Hey, we call them or we get in contact with them, and it's something that's built, and it's like, yes, we're going to do this. That takes time. But to what Shadi's saying, it's not just Microsoft that's there, right? If we're talking about the largest value market cap companies in the world, right? We've spoken, obviously, Microsoft's going to be there. I've spoken to execs at Nvidia. They are coming. And they're not coming just because they think InvestFest is the greatest thing on earth, which we think it is. But they're saying, like, we know that you bring the level of talent that we're looking to now put on board at our company.
Yeah.
So we're not, this is, when we talk like an incubator, we're talking about they're looking for the professionals. And no, there might not be the guy that's on stage that says, hey, I'm from NVIDIA. It might be the person sitting right next to you.
Yeah.
Right? Like that could happen. And you, depending on how you interact, will determine on whether they'll tell you their position. But that's not the only company, right? We spoke to Meta. They'll be there as well.
Yeah.
Shout out to Brian.
Yeah. Shout out to, right? Amazon. I spoke to people. Google. They're all going to be there in attendance, whether they're on the stage or they're actually in a seat, physical or in the marketplace, looking at businesses. Yeah. They're all there. Right, with the same intent, saying like, yes, we love what y'all are doing for the community, but more importantly, you have the resources and the network of people that we're looking for to incorporate inside of our corporation. And so, yeah, the DI thing, that's sucks. But here's an opportunity right here. You're in front of the people. They're going to be there. And they might be sitting next to you. What are you going to do?
Yeah. And my closing thought and note on this, no Fortune 100 company has the Black agenda at the forefront of their mission or vision statement. I'm just keeping it 1,000. Why are we surprised that DEI went away when they bought us out after they killed George Floyd? These are Ian's thoughts and Red Panda LLC only, but I gotta keep it a thing. Like, why are people surprised?
Did they buy us out though, or did they just?
They did. They didn't spend the money.
They made commitments that
never went through.
Right.
And then Lucian put his son over at Atlantic to take over more Black music.
You saw that?
What?
I ain't hear one cry about nepotism
at all. He's not qualified. He put out 3 fucking acts. Y'all talking about Bronny?
Not a tweet. Nothing. Not a comment.
Not a word.
Well, speaking of that, Donald Trump. So he sat down with Adin Ross on the live stream, and first he came out to many men. That's the first thing. Not in the manner of I would have advised him to do it at the Republican National.
They already taking back.
Please, it's my mom's birthday. Can we not do this?
He came out, but then he also said, free Big Slime out the cage. He said that,
he didn't necessarily say that.
Yeah, it has to be looked at how Young Thug is being treated. It's being treated unfairly. So, okay, Trump.
You think he has any clue who Thug is?
Yeah, for sure. Free Thug. So I'll say this, by the way. A swing has happened in momentum. When Biden was running, he had no chance of winning, and that's why he dropped out. Right? So I didn't think he had any chance of winning. I believe Ian didn't think he had any chance of winning. You believe that he had a chance of winning.
I believe the party had a chance of winning.
He dropped out.
Yeah.
So I would say that he had no chance of winning. Now, something very interesting has happened over the last 2 weeks. Kamala Harris has picked up a lot of momentum, and she's raised a lot of money. And she looks like she has a chance of winning, actually. So now we're seeing interesting things happen, like a president go on live stream, right? And she got to go on Kai Cenat joint now.
You think?
She has to.
It has to. If I was over the market tomorrow, you and I Spice. You already put me- You already got me in
the 18 wheeler. Nah, if he get in the basement, that'd be crazy. Shout out to Kai if he does that.
I mean, why would you? If
I'm saying he might.
If he was on Adin Ross,
I'm saying Adin Ross. He went to him. He went to Mar-a-Lago. I'm saying like if he gets into the basement, it'd be
authentic. Because Kai would travel, but it wouldn't be as authentic.
Yeah, Adin looks super happy. Did you see him before the stream started?
Oh yeah,
he had the hat on and everything.
He was elated.
I can't wait.
So okay, interesting times that we're in. How much of a circus will this situation actually get to? We're seeing many men. We're seeing him talking about free Young Thug. They're going on live stream with the streamers. How crazy can this situation get?
I'll give him credit because that. Like you're in touch with the demo. Like if you want to get younger, you want to skew younger, you want to get a younger population. That's where they're at. They're streaming. It's Adin, it's Kai. I mean, I don't know if Mr. Beast, if that was something that they'll entertain, but at least it's like, all right, well, they know what the youth is watching. I'll give them credit, and I'll leave it at that. But Ian, you go.
As soon as I saw it, I said, because academics did the interview with Don Jr. If I find out you set up Adin and Trump, I'm going to come on here and tell all your business. So, do I think how crazy can it get? I think she needs to go to, for sure, go see Kai because you need a younger audience. I'm sure since Mr. Beast uses the hard ER, Trump is going to go there. But you got to do everything in your power. This is the most important election, and I know that gets said a lot. But the Supreme Justice thing, the police immunity thing, shit is serious. And I think we need to get one interview. If I was on her campaign, like you need one interview where you're incredibly authentic. And I think somebody like a Kai could possibly get that out of her. But my thing is like when he went to Adin, it signified to me that JD, that is backed by Peter Thiel. So shout out to all of you who asked me about Palantir. Go vote for JD Vance and Trump. I think Trump is worried. I don't think that the Republicans thought that Biden was going to step down because I think they would have picked another VP. And the traction and the money has flowed in so quickly. And in October, are we going to release who we're voting for or no?
Sure.
I'm coming with a big ass line.
Sure.
I think we have to keep journalistic integrity.
Nah, fuck all that. Fuck all that. It's over with. They think we're MAGA men. Just because I said something bad about Biden, I'm like, y'all think I'm pro? Well, the toxins is what? Shut up, yo.
That doesn't necessarily mean you're not integral. It just means.
I mean, but once you announce that you're supporting the political,
no, you're not saying you're just saying that's who you voted for.
That means you're a supporter. If you're going to vote for him,
but you could have down the line it could have went differently.
That's true.
So it doesn't mean you support the entire party. It just means that's who you voted for.
Can somebody send me some non-MAGA gear? Something.
The worry play.
But this is going to be a very like the traditional method of just running ads on TV and smear. That's not enough.
Yeah, it's not.
Because we both have two candidates that are not the most trusted. And I think it's really going to come down to policy, who can explain it the best, and who feels more authentic, because the voter base is smarter than they ever been.
Are we there yet, though? Like, I feel like there's still time, right? Like, until November.
Oh, it's a lot of time.
The campaign, the smear ads on TV. I think after the DNC happens, she obviously officially is nominated and they have the VP. I think it gets rid of. I feel like, and shout out to Jamal Bowman. Like during that, I felt like every other commercial was an attack, or it was him promoting. It was just like nonstop. Haven't really seen that yet, but I think that's more for like the 7th, 8th inning.
No, it's already happening. It's just not happening in New York.
You don't see,
even when I was in Chicago, I saw some ads.
There's a lot of ads, bro.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
The whole thing is, momentum.
Every commercial,
sports, everything just happens in quick momentum, and she has the momentum right now. And I think they're trying to figure out how. And she's gonna have even more momentum after the Democratic National Convention.
Yep,
that'll give her even more momentum.
I have to put the gold medal on LeBron, Simone Biles. Hey, and that why y'all need to send a Taylor Swift and Beyonce. Better hurry up.
They keep using her music.
So she got the momentum right now. So it's momentum doesn't last forever. So we got to see how long they can carry the momentum. But right now, I don't think Trump has an answer. I don't think they have an answer for the
She
momentum.
needs a stellar VP candidate. I'm sure y'all heard the rumblings about who it could be.
Yeah, we had some conversations.
Yeah.
Well, how you feel about Trump at the National Black Journalists Association?
It was disrespectful. I do think he brought up a good point that, quote unquote, my opponent was not there. So I think he figured a way how to spin it. You have to give him credit for actually showing up and being thrown into the lion's den, but he does what he always does. He doesn't answer anything directly. So now he did more for black people than Abraham Lincoln. For the record, Abraham Lincoln's wife was the one who came up with that. And like, come on, man, like, stop. So you're saying that you didn't do anything for black people because Abe technically didn't either. It was his wife. So
I think I was talking to Don Lemon. I saw Don Lemon that day that it came out, and I was saying, like, you at least you got to give him
credit for going there.
And he's entertaining. And then Lemon was like, "You like that?" I'm like, "Yo, I never seen a politician like him before ever in life. Like, I never seen nobody that just doesn't care. Like, this dude went up there and said, 'Yo, your equipment is bogus. It took you 35 minutes. It's unprofessional.'
You guys were late. He played the CP card.
Yeah. And then he doubled down. He doubled down on a black jobs thing. So we've never seen anything like this in our lifetime, as far as a politician that truly just is unhinged. Like, he's unhinged with no apology.
On the investment side, though, think of how bad the economy has to be for them to let a black woman run against him. Once again, I want to ask, would you let Trump run your company? If this is the best of breed that we have right now, we're in tricky times.
Tricky times.
Did
you you said it was disrespectful. Which part?
I think he came off aggressive in his reply right away.
Yeah.
I mean, worse things have been said about Trump, and he's done worse things. So how are you offended at a journalist asking you a question? Even if it's like, now you can argue it may not be the way that I would approach an interview, or neither of you. Like, I would do what Torre told, like, start with the softball, let's ease into the tough shit later. But I think he took too much of a defensive stand, and you knew you was going into the lion's den. You know you're not a favorable amongst the black people. I think he had a chance to try and sway some voters, but I don't think he's really thinking some of this through. I think he took it for granted. I really think he thought Biden was going to be his opponent, and he's a little bit shell-shocked now that he has a candidate that has some momentum and political and capital.
How you feel about him saying that she's not black?
Is familiar with the Barack wasn't born in America. On Blackout, after the election, we're going to talk though.
Birthism. Yeah, I didn't. There was a lot of feedback that was coming from the actual committee for having them there. I don't think necessarily agree with some of the stuff I was hearing, that he shouldn't have been there. I feel like as journalists, they did their job. What they came out firing, and you got the audience and the people who were watching. I think that was the point of it, right? Like, let's have him here, let's ask him these questions and let him respond, and people can judge or figure out if this is somebody they want to support. I thought it was interesting, and I think he brought this point up in the conversation we had. Like, out of all, we had 3 female journalists that were there, and I mean, obviously well accomplished, but it would have been good to see if there was maybe a male in there, and if the dialogue would have come off across the same as aggressive. As aggressively as it was, because there were male journalists that were there. They just weren't, given the opportunity to sit on stage. And, from what he said, they kind of handpicked who they wanted and kind of handpicked some of the questions. And maybe that's why he responded in that aggressive manner, because, he felt like, well, how are you to challenge me in this moment with me being here? But I thought they did their job. It was unfortunate, some of the feedback that they got. And then I saw Stephen A. Smith was there. Shout out to Stephen A. He had First Take there and spoke about the situation as well. So if anything, if it comes from it, people got to see or got to realize, like, hey, this is who you're dealing with, up close and personal. And the fact that she wasn't there, I think he kind of left out the part that Kamala was attending Congresswoman Sheila Jackson's funeral. So the reason she wasn't there was
spin by any means. You know he's going to. Do we think Trump is going to be honest with black people regardless of who the journalist is?
I don't think he's gonna be honest with anybody.
So I don't know if it's just us. I mean,
Like
just in
I said,
general.
he is entertaining.
Are he going to be honest to the MAGA people? Well, except the January 6th thing that he didn't go to, that he made them go to.
Never told him to go down there. Meet me there.
NABJ.
Oh, yeah, shout out to y'all booking agent. Can y'all book an agent call Rashad and Troy so we get him for InvestFest? It's not an endorsement, but
For Trump?
yes. Can we have a presidential debate at InvestFest?
Can happen. That can happen.
That's what we need.
That can happen.
That's what we need.
Not too late.
Moderated by Umar and 19 Keys.
National Association Black Journalists. Call my phone. We didn't get an invite.
Or to the Bitcoin conference. Everybody like, why weren't you there? A, I was with my kid, but with B, we didn't get invited.
That's
So,
a fact.
In Nashville, right? There was in Nashville this year?
yeah.
Yep.
Larry Fink, call us, please.
Please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Apple execs, please call us as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
VIX. Before we leave, what's the deal with the VIX?
I've always said that anytime VIX gets above 45, we are in a danger zone. It got to 65. The VIX should stay there for about another 6 days at this relative high, and then we'll come back down, so we'll be A-okay. You will know that we are in a zone of safety in the stock market when we get back down to $40.52. And then around the 16th of August, we should be like back safe. But when it breaks to 40.52, RSI lovers, VIX is at the 95. So it should push back down by the 16th. And by the time InvestFest is here, we should be back clear. But
It is over.
one of the most important indicators to know what is happening, especially in the options and futures market, is that VIX. You can look it up on your stock app, ticker VIX. But anytime this has happened, it stayed up for maybe 8 or 9 days, and then it reverts back to the mean.
Yeah, the volatility index, you had it at 45. I tell anybody you should be concerned anywhere between 20 to 30. I think that's cause for concern. Pre-market, it was at 65.
Yeah.
Which was like, oh my gosh, where are we headed today? It ended the day, closed at 38, which is still that territory. Like you said, the VIX doesn't stay at it for long durations of time.
Yeah.
So we should see it pull back down. But again, once you start seeing it creep up into that 20 range and 25, now at 30, all right. And like, what should I do? What should I do? I said, all right, well, if you had your stop losses, if you have money on the side,
you have pending orders at the right price.
Yeah, find your entries. Find your entries. Whatever it's your 10% retracement, 20, 30, whatever your strategy is, find it. Because if that VIX is high, then you know that the equity is coming down until that number that you're looking for. And if you had that money, that sideline, like if you had 227 billion on the sideline, imagine what happens when you see the VIX going to 50.
And anytime that the VIX breaks below 1180, it's a signal that all hell is about to break loose. Just so set a permanent pending alert. Anytime it drops below 1180, some shit is about to happen in the market, and it lines up with August and September being the worst months of the market.
Yeah, so that's a good range for people, right? If we just with what we just told you, that's the range. So if you're looking, what range should it be in? If you said 1180, anything below, that means anywhere from 1180
coming
to about 19.
Hit that panic button. Normally, I tell you I don't panic. You go below 1180, panic time. Yep. To anybody who sent me an email, if you hadn't listened to the show and been on Stock Club call, I almost did say I do not care. Sorry. Should have listened. Shadi, tell him, hey, Shad, how can I meet you? I'm like,
how can I meet you?
Yeah, how can I meet you and Mike Overgraft and Kathy Orton, Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger's Ghost? Say that dog, we told you what to do. When y'all gonna apply?
That's a fact.
Yeah, apply.
Oh man, says a lot about the times that we in. All right, guys, it's been real.
Yes.
We'll see you at InvestFest. We got a big episode. Are we doing a raffle?
Yeah, we got to announce our winner.
Let's
do that now. All right, the time is here. It's time for us to pick our Terrence J All Access VIP ticket winner. Shout out to everybody that bought a VIP ticket and everybody that has purchased one this week for sure. This is an incredible get. So we are looking forward to meeting the lucky winner. So here's what you're getting: an ultra exclusive all access backstage pass for the weekend, an opportunity to meet speakers and hosts, front row seating for InvestFest and VIP night, access to all EYL dinners. I know y'all heard about those during Invest Fest weekend. VIP access to all parties, meet and greet with billionaire real estate developer Donahue Peoples, and lifetime access to EYL University and Red Panda Stock Club. That's a whole lot. So without further ado, let's get this thing going. Let's see who our winner is going to be. All right, we got our name submitted. Let's start this process. There's only going to be one winner this time, y'all. So we're going to do that. And let's make the countdown 5 seconds. All right, let's confirm and let's roll. All right. And here's our winner, Bryce Tapscott. Bryce, congratulations. We look forward to meeting you. Congratulations on this incredible offer, this upgrade. So our InvestFest team will be in contact with you, and we look forward to seeing you in a few weeks, man. Congrats again. All right. Congratulations again.
Congratulations. You
have access to everything.
What's the number one rule, though?
Stay close.
No, not that one. For this.
Don't be crazy.
Just don't be.
Oh, yeah, don't be crazy.
Please.
Crazy.
Don't do like Safari did and come with COVID and give it to me either.
Shout out to Safari. He had the marketplace lit last year.
That's a fact. That's a fact. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been real. Pre-sale tickets in 24 hours. We'll see you tomorrow. Blackouts on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Man, stay safe out there.
All right, love is love.